Whether you are a higher rate taxpayer or just aspire to be, you should be annoyed about the higher rate of tax. The tax system in the UK is a so-called progressive one, which means it's designed to target the most successful people. With the income tax rate doubling once your salary hits a little over £50,000, it can seem like HMRC is effectively saying, you've got enough money now, anything extra you make for us.
If you'd rather keep more of what you earn, what can you do about it? Well, if you funnel the part of your salary that's taxed at a higher rate through a pension, it effectively shields that income from tax. So instead of your salary above 50k being taxed at 40%, it's taxed at 0%.
But there's a glaring problem with pension accounts, which is that you can't access the money until you're 10 years from the state pension age, which is looking likely to be at least age 68 for everyone born after 1970. This means you can access your pension money at 58, which is not a problem if you plan on working until then. But if you wanted to retire at, say, age 50, that's 8 years you've somehow got to finance from other sources. If you wanted to retire at 40, then that 18-year gap starts to look scarily big.
How can you protect your income from the taxman and retire early? In this video, we're going to first look at a strategy to do exactly that, and then we're going to let you in on several mostly unknown pension loopholes that will make you a fortune and potentially add years to your retirement. Let's check it out.
Why pension accounts are lifesavers for higher earners. A basic rate taxpayer who puts £100 of after-tax income into a pension will get tax relief of £25, which is basically a refund from HMRC of the 20% income tax taken from his person's salary. This gets paid into his pension, so he'd now have £125 for his future instead of £100.
Now consider a higher rate taxpayer. She also puts £100 of after-tax income into a pension, but her tax relief is £67. She's made an immediate 67% gain on her investment. This is because £67 is 40% of her gross salary contribution of £167 and is simply the tax she initially paid through her payslip at 40%. Not only this, but because she's serious about shelling away a large portion of her income towards her retirement, her employer is matching her contributions on a significant chunk of this.
It is not uncommon in higher rate jobs for matched pension benefits to be very generous, such as fully matched on up to 10% of earnings. The 67% tax boost, coupled with the 100% boost from employer matching, means you've almost tripled your money before you've even bought into a fund. But if you can't access it until age 58, it's not much use for retiring early. Or is it?
Bridging the gap with an ISA. If you want to benefit from the pension tax rules and have the option to retire before age 58, you still can, but you can't have all of your wealth in a pension due to its inaccessibility. You might want to make use of another tax-shielded account, the Stocks and Shares ISA, to bridge the gap. ISAs do not stop you from being taxed on your wage like a pension does, but any money in there will never be taxed again, whereas when you draw income in retirement from a pension, it forms part of your taxable earnings and so will likely be taxed. And even more importantly for retirement planning, you can access an ISA whenever you want to. Your money is not locked away.
The ISA I use is the InvestEngine DIY ISA. There are no trading fees on InvestEngine, and you can rebalance without worrying about fees at the click of a button. And there is no platform fee when you manage your own portfolio. InvestEngine are offering a £25 investment bonus to all new customers who invest at least £100 via the link on the Money Unshackled offers page.
The following example works for both basic and high rate taxpayers. If you calculate that your household will need £1 million for you to be able to retire and you plan to retire at age 40, then with an expected real return of 5%, you must have at least 584 grand of your £1 million total invested into accessible accounts when you retire, with the rest in your pension.
If you have too much in your pensions and too little in your ISAs, your accessible accounts may run out of money before age 58. The table shows the pension amounts you should have by each age to retire then, alongside the accessible accounts like ISAs that must make up the rest.
Retiring at 40, your £416,000 pension will be expected to grow over 18 years until it reaches £1 million by age 58. Until then, you draw an income from your ISA and other accessible accounts, which in this example must be worth at least 584 grand.
You could potentially run your accessible accounts down to zero over the 18 years. It doesn't matter, because once you hit 58, you hope to have £1 million waiting for you in your pension accounts. We have ignored the different treatment of income tax in retirement for pensions and ISAs for simplicity, since a household can structure their pensions to make the tax negligible. More on this later.
And for that to be true, we've assumed in the example just shown that the state pension does not exist, which for a 40-year-old taking early retirement may be a sensible precaution. Who knows what changes the future may bring 28 years later.
How the tax relief works. The practicalities of how the tax relief on a pension works is really important, and you need to understand it. When you deposit money into a pension, you get a top-up added to your pension equal to 25% of your contribution, regardless of whether you're a basic or a higher rate taxpayer. The maths of this means you are getting back your 20% basic rate tax paid. For example, getting a £25 top-up when you deposit £100. £25 is 20% of the total £125 of gross salary.
If you are a higher rate taxpayer, unless you use a salary sacrifice scheme or a net pay method, you must separately make a claim, usually via a self-assessment tax return, to get the rest of your tax relief. On a deposit of £100, this is worth an extra £42 to you, which when added to the automatic £25 top-up in your pension, brings your total to £167.
Using pensions to top up your ISA. One thing to note here is that for normal pension contributions, the higher rate part of your tax relief is not paid directly into your pension and hence is not locked away. It is reclaimed, often via a self-assessment tax refund, which results in more money in your bank account. You could simply move some of your reclaimed salary into your ISA or another accessible account, helping you bridge the early retirement gap. In fact, you could do anything you like with it. Spend it at Domino's if you want to. But this is a cool way to use the pension rules to build up the balance of your accessible investment accounts with tax-free income.
What are the real-world practicalities? 1. Making pension tax negligible. A couple who need a £1 million pot to retire could build it up 50-50 so they each have £500,000 invested, which at the 4% rule pays them each £20,000 of taxable pension income in retirement. You are allowed to withdraw up to 25% of the balance of your private pensions as the tax-free lump sum, which you could invest elsewhere, so that pension income falls to £15,000 each.
After this, the personal allowance comes to the rescue, which is £12,570 per person. That's why it's so advantageous to split your household pensions between two people, because you get two personal allowances. Taxable income then becomes just a negligible £2,430 each. This is why you might treat pension and ISA income in retirement as largely interchangeable.
2. The state pension is taxable. While you can make your tax low initially, when the state pension kicks in at age 68, it is treated as taxable income, which is a problem if you've already used up your personal allowance with private pension income. But if your plans don't rely on the state pension, then any money you get from it, taxed or not, is a nice bonus.
3. A pension grows faster than an ISA. This table shows that money in a pension grows faster than in an ISA since your employment earnings are not taxed. As such, you can draw a higher income in retirement from the same money invested. But because you are taxed on pension income, the net income for both pensions and ISAs works out the same for a basic rate taxpayer.
However, a person who is a higher rate taxpayer during employment and a basic rate taxpayer in retirement will do better from having a pension, and as we've just shown, you can make your pension tax rate effectively zero in retirement anyway, making pensions potentially the better choice at all income tax bands.
4. The lifetime allowance. Another reason to split your household pension pot in half between partners is the lifetime allowance, which stands at a fraction over £1 million. Even if you need less than £1 million to retire, the market may surprise you and grow your pot well beyond the size you'd planned for, attracting nasty penalties.
This strategy is less straightforward if you are the breadwinner and your spouse is a basic rate taxpayer. You may not want to use their pension accounts to save for retirement because they wouldn't get the higher rate tax relief.
5. Annual allowances. Our examples have assumed huge amounts in your accessible accounts, but ISAs have a £20,000 annual allowance for contributions. This of course doubles to £40,000 if both you and your spouse have ISA accounts, but this still may not be enough. You can then use other allowances like the capital gains tax allowance, or use a spread betting account, which has similar tax rules to an ISA but with no contribution limits. Pensions also have an annual contribution allowance, being £40,000 or 100% of your salary if lower, which places an upper limit of 80 grand a year for a couple to take advantage of the pension rules.
Manipulate your income with a pension. Because you can choose how much to add to a pension, you have the ability to manipulate your taxable income. Capital gains tax on things like investment property and stocks is charged by reference to your income tax band. And since you could increase your pension contributions to temporarily drop you into a lower tax bracket, higher rate taxpayers can arrange their affairs to avoid paying higher rate capital gains tax on their investments.
Your pension is your early retirement friend. In this video, we've shown you multiple ways in which, as a higher earner, you can take control over your own tax bill by using the power of pensions, and use these awesome accounts in tandem with ISAs to still retire at a time of your choosing. There's no need to avoid pensions if you want to retire early. Indeed, used correctly, their unique abilities can get you there much faster.
Question of the day: how are you preparing for retirement? Join the conversation in the comments below. Thanks for watching! On this channel we talk a lot about personal finance, investing and all things money, and if you want to see more great content, please click the subscribe button below.
This is moneyunshackled.com. See you next time.